meeting on the Crimean peace talks that took place in the presence of American president and the president or head of the states of majority European nations about how should be the course of peace between Russia and Ukraine, how do we establish peace between Russia and Ukraine, has three important key takeaways. The first one is whether Ukraine will be able to withstand, exhibit resilience with Russia continuously being able to, has been ready to respond to any kind of support that Ukraine is getting from Europe or Americas. The second important takeaway out of this meeting is, of course, the American president has importantly realized this fact that out of all of these transactions, what he usually keeps on claiming that he has been responsible for bringing in ceasefire in different wars or in different battles of late. See, he has realized this fact that this is the most complex one. He has also stated that initially he thought that it would be very easy to bring back ceasefire in Russia-Ukraine war, but now he has realized this fact that it is not that easy. And third, but the most important question, that key takeaway that has come out of this is all the countries to the east and west of Atlantic, that is the transatlantic coordination has shown unity, has shown solidarity. If we look at what has been the international relations across Atlantic Ocean for at least a minimum of 6 or 7 months, we have seen that there has been retaliatory statements from American president against French president, or for that matter, United Kingdom has also shown some kind of distance from America. Europe has distanced itself from Americas. But for this meeting, Ukrainian peace talks, all these countries came together and they were ready to discuss peace and negotiations and ready to bring in the conditions, introduce the conditions such that both the sides will be able to come to a talking terms. Hello and welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about this important meeting, and one question that this meeting has left open for us to discuss is actually Crimea belongs to whom, and why is it so imperative for Russia? Why is Russia so specific that it cannot leave out on Crimea? Crimea is a non-negotiable question for Russia, and so is the case with Ukraine, and thus it is very difficult to bring these two countries on talking terms, at least in terms of Crimea. But before we delve into answering this important question about what is American stance, what is Ukrainian stance, or for that matter, what is Russian stance also in case of Crimea, whom does Crimea actually belong to? Before we delve to answer these questions, I have an important update from Legacy IAS Academy that we are starting up with our new batch, weekdays and weekends, from 22nd September and 16th of October. And this weekend batch, weekdays batch will be from 22nd September and 16th of October. Weekend batch will start from 4th and 25th of October. Now, quickly recalling about what are the important things, which is very, very specific to Legacy IAS Academy, is that we cover all the subjects of GS, and that itself is so unique that it will be just few handful institutes in the country who will be covering all the GS subjects. Point number 2 is the small batch size. Because the batch size is restricted to 40 candidates, 40 students, so it is very easy for the faculties to focus on each and every candidate. But despite of all of this, if the candidate is not kind of shy to ask the questions, then the candidate can meet the mentors or the faculty in a one-to-one mentorship. Okay? Additionally, there will also be regular answer writing and regular prelims related questions which will be discussed in class itself. When we carry out answer writing, we give you a sample answers so that you will be able to judge how far you need to go ahead to improve upon your answer writing. So please don't wait. You can call on the number mentioned below, that is 96069 00004 or 00005, or scan this QR code for further details. Now, talking about why is this topic running into news, because Trump in its meeting with Zelensky, when American president was meeting his Ukrainian counterpart, he has told him that he should understand this fact that Crimea is not a question for Russia right now. Russia is not going to negotiate on Crimea, and the second important thing that Russia has demanded, that Ukraine should not join NATO. So is the case. The way Putin has informed it to American president is also informing it to the Ukrainian president that he needs to give up on Crimea as well as NATO. But the interesting part is, Ukrainian president, if we talk about what has been the Ukrainian stance, they have also stated that the start of all of the issue between Russia and Ukraine from 2022 has been Crimea, and will end with it. So till the point Ukrainian question is answered, we are not going to talk about peace. So Ukraine has also very clearly clarified that this is a non-negotiable piece of land for Ukraine. Talking about American stance, he has stated that if Ukraine wants to end this war, the Ukrainian president can do it readily, or continue to fight for another 3 years. But in this meeting, American president has also clarified this fact that now US is not going to support Ukraine with any weapons. American president has clarified this fact that we are not going to give weapons, we will sell weapons. We know this for fact that the current president of America, he is a very transactional person. Transactional person in diplomacy basically means that you're not going to get something just out of our past relationship being very healthy, sound and strong. If you need our support, you need to give me something in return. So American stance is also clear that they are not going to support Ukraine on weapons. And that is why I said that the most important takeaways from this meeting was how far will Ukraine be able to withstand, show resilience in terms of its fight with Russia, against Russia. Now talking about the Russian stance. If I talk about how much has Russia occupied or conquered Ukraine, it is close to 19 to 20% of the Ukrainian territory. Russian stance, as we discussed, Russia is ready to negotiate on every other territory excepting Crimea. Russia has also pointed out that Ukraine should forget about joining NATO. If Ukraine is ready to agree on these non-negotiable terms, that Ukraine gives up on NATO and gives up on Crimea, then we are ready to negotiate on other territories which Russia has occupied close to the Crimean border, close to the Russian border. Now, why Crimea? What is the significance? What is the history of Crimea? Talking about the history of Crimea, this was initially known as, and this is the portion which is home to Crimean Tatars. Crimean Tatars are basically Islamic population in this region. And if we talk about where was Crimea actually lying, Crimea was part of Russian Empire. Russian Empire, which later on got converted into USSR. So Crimea was part of initially Russian Empire, later on as part of USSR. But when USSR was joined, that means it was not disintegrated into Russia and Ukraine. That time, Nikita Khrushchev had handed over that from here onwards, we will be considering Crimea as a part of Ukraine. Although Ukraine that time was just a state within USSR. But Crimea was handed over to the state of Ukraine by Nikita Khrushchev, who was the Soviet president. Now, talking about what happened since 2014, because 2014 was one such year which was very, very determining to the future of Crimea. Talking about the story of 2014, there was a revolution which was taking place in Ukraine. The revolution is commonly known as Euromaidan Revolution or Maidan Revolution. The revolution was regarding that the Ukrainian president was basically a Russian appointed individual. And this person had abandoned the decision that he will not be signing a political association deal with European Union, because this person wanted to appease the Russian president. So the Ukrainian president, who was a Russian appointed person, he refused to sign a political association deal with European Union because he wanted to appease and pacify Russia. And for that reason, there was uprising in Ukraine. This commonly was known as Euromaidan Revolution. And the intention was to oust the Russian appointed president in Ukraine. Now, as Russia claims, after Crimea was annexed in 2014, when Crimea was annexed, Russia in fact carried out referendum. And the referendum was deciding that they want to remain with Russia. Although all of this news, all of this information is stated to be false by the European media. European media says that there was no referendum conducted, because if the referendum was conducted, we very well know that the Crimean Tatars never wanted to remain with Russia. Talking about what has been the American response. 2014 May, when this incident took place, when Russia had annexed Crimea. So 2014 May, what was the American response? That time Barack Obama was the president of USA, and Barack Obama himself had also refused to supply lethal aid to Ukraine against Russia. Barack Obama at that time had stated that we don't have a clear evidence that we need to interfere in this situation of Russia. So that time he refused to supply the lethal aid, and the majority international community, even after Russia had annexed Crimea, majority international community along with the UN Geo resolution had agreed that we continue to agree to this fact that Crimea belongs to Ukraine. Now, talking about the abandonment, Trump has also abandoned this view, but he has stated, as we discussed, Trump has also clearly stated that we are not going to give weapons, we will be selling off weapons. But if we talk about what has been the Trump's stance regarding 2014 decision, he has stated that Obama decided to give Crimea to Russia, and now that decision has been taken. Now we do not have a stance, we don't have an option of moving away from that decision. Now, answering the last and the most important question, that why is it so non-negotiable for either Russia or Ukraine? So there must be something very, very significant to Crimea. The significance is the fertile land. Crimea has large tracts of land which is very, very fertile. Okay? And being fertile, we know that Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. So all of these cereals, all of these grains will be sold to Europe. And whoever owns this piece of land will also be the supplier of bread to Europe. Second important significance of Crimea is, if a country holds access to Crimean Peninsula, be it Ukraine or Russia, they will have access to Eastern Mediterranean. Now, if you have access to Eastern Mediterranean, because both the countries are selling off their produce to Europe, so if you have the access to Eastern Mediterranean, then you are closer to your destination, to your market. Third important reason for not leaving out on Crimea is the oil and gas reserves which are present in Crimea. And of course, Russia has its own Black Sea fleet at the Sevastopol. Sevastopol is the most important and largest city in Crimea, where the Russian Black Sea fleet is residing. So this is an important naval base for Russia. Plus, whoever controls, whether Russia controls or Ukraine controls, they will be also able to access the control of patrolling of key shipping routes, because Black Sea itself is one of the important shipping routes in the entire region. So it is very, very important to hold that piece of land, and so both the countries have declared it to be the non-negotiable terms. With that, we come to the end of this topic. If you have any doubt, please do let us know in the comment section below. Thank you so much and all the very best.